Well, this is not going to be a series. In fact, there's probably just going to be one episode here. It's not about making a pen. What it's about is trying to get my Alumilite, instead of blue, I want it to be more green. If you remember last time, I did 5 drops of white and then 1 each of blue and green. This time I'm going to do 10 drops of white so that the Alumilite is a little less opaque, is a little less transparent or translucent, and instead of 1 drop of green, I'm going to try 3. Anyway, here we go. I'll be doing a lot of fast motion here, like time lapse. 1, 2, 3, 10. Now just 1 blue, 1. And we'll do 3 green. Try and get it more green. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's see what's going to happen here. I'm just going to have to move my mold a bit. Something interesting, I was on Turntech's website yesterday and I was noticing that he recommended, instead of mixing it with part A, mix it with the other part B. Hey, this is starting to look a little bit more like it, isn't it? Oh yeah. Now I will be doing the degassing in the vacuum chamber again. I'm just not going to show it. This is not about making a pen. I'm going to be doing everything pretty much the same way as I did in the last video, the last series. Well, that's getting pretty close. Well, offhand, I would say that those dyes are all mixed together pretty good, and they're going to get even more mixed together in a minute here. Okay, I'm going to go get my timer. Okay, we'll just back this up to 0 now. Now I did forget the rubber gloves. This one pours out much easier. It's like the difference between hot syrup and cold syrup. Okay, in order to save the battery in the camera so it doesn't run out on me, I'm just going to shut it off now. Well, I've mixed now for a good 5 minutes. And I guess if I get this on my fingers, I can see how well that acetone will work to get it off, and I'm sure it will. Still a little bit on the blue side. We probably could have put another drop of green in, but it's sure a lot better than it was. It's much more aqua colored. I have to be careful where I try to grab onto this. It's kind of slippery on the top from the mold release. There's probably a more clumsy way to do this if I tried. almost 9 bar. In other words, 9 times atmosphere pressure. So once again, we'll see what we got in the morning. Well, it is the next morning, and you're going to want to add 12 hours to that. So we're looking at about 16 and a half hours ago that we started this mix. And it's probably going to be a little bit on the tacky side, but I think it'll hold together. In other words, I'm thinking that if there are any little air pockets inside that piece of wood, that the Alumilite will have hardened enough that they're not going to crack the Alumilite. At least that's the hope. Remember what happened to the pendant about a week ago. Maybe I'll show you afterwards why it is that when I open the valve, it takes such a long time for the air to rush out of there. Some of you already know. And I can hear my air conditioner kicked in, so I can imagine we're going to have another hot day here in Winnipeg today. I am still very unhappy with this color. When I first started mixing yesterday, I thought it was going to come out more like this. But as you can see, it's still blue. You know, this is the day before yesterday's mix. It's still blue, but it's a lighter blue. I realize it's a lighter blue, but you know, it's still blue. This morning I got on the internet and I brought up a color chart. Let's go take a look at that. I think that this chart is mainly designed for somebody wanting to adjust their colors in their drawing program. Like, I notice it goes from 0 to 255, and that's the way my CorelDRAW drawing program is if I want to adjust the color. Anyway, I found 4 here that are pretty close. There's aquamarine, cyan, electric blue, and turquoise. And to my way of thinking, the turquoise is the closest. But I was noticing that in the aquamarine and the turquoise, both of them require a little bit of red. I never tried that. Let's give it a try. Now I have a real bad habit of saying I'm going to show you something and then I forget all about it. Okay, first of all, on this end, in the cylinder, there's a sponge there. And the reason for that is so that when the air goes rushing in there, it sort of gets diffused a little bit and doesn't all of a sudden, you know, bump into the mold or whatever I have in there and maybe turn it over or blow some of the liquid out. Anyway, I think you get the idea. But on this end here, I'll put my macro lens on afterwards, but on this end here, I filled it with solder. And then I drilled out a little tiny hole in it so that the air doesn't go rushing in at a quarter inch hole or whatever that happened to be. Anyway, I'll go get the macro lens. Well, here you can see the fittings all filled up with solder. And I moved in as close as I can get without putting on my extension tubes, and it's not going to really make it any better. It's just going to make it bigger but not sharper. So I drilled a little tiny hole here with I think it was this bit here. I'm not sure. I think it was that one. Anyway, you think that drill bit's small? Take a look at this one. Don't know if I can hold it steady enough. This one's not much bigger than a human hair. And believe it or not, I've actually used it. Now, when I went through my dyes just now, I found that the only dye that I had that was red was fluorescent red, and I thought, oh, fluorescents don't want to work. Then I remembered, oh, that was just with the cactus juice that it wouldn't work. Probably with the Alumilite it will. It's kind of an orangey red, but we'll see what happens here. Speaking of seeing what's happened, let's have a look inside here. I don't know if I can ever use that or not. Yeah, it's just way too blue. not going to mix up a batch of Alumilite. I just want to see if I can get the dyes to mix. And this will be a more inexpensive way of doing it. Now I was just thinking, how would it be if we just do 1 drop of white and just 1 drop of green and see what that comes out as? Because it seems to me that once we add the blue, it stays blue no matter what you do. Now let's see what that's going to look like. Oh my goodness, those pesky flies. Okay, it's still very green. Okay, we'll do a little bit of blue here. 1 blue. Come on. Now the blue is by far the stronger color. At least I think it is. Now that's way too dark. We'll add a couple more white. 1, 2. Those are pretty big drops. This is probably not the best way of doing this. Okay, at least you can see it's lightening it up. But it is staying blue. Alright, now we'll do the red thing. Just 1 drop of red. I've never used this one before. It's a brand new bottle. That did change it, didn't it? Is it more turquoise looking? I do believe it does give it more of a tinge of green. It's less blue, but it's still too dark. Let's add some more white. 1, 2, 3. So that's what, a total of 6 white now? It's still too blue. I don't know if these dyes are of the same intensity. In other words, is the blue a stronger blue than the green is a green? Maybe more white. What do you think? Don't want to waste this stuff. There's probably only about 500 drops in this bottle. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's a total of 9 white now. It's getting closer. And it's still kind of blue as far as I'm concerned. Okay, there is one guy out there in YouTube land who does painting. And he has viewed a few of my videos, and his name is Brett. Brett, if you're watching, you're used to mixing paints to get colors. What would you recommend I do here?